when you step to the podium as a head coach, you want to talk about the football, not off the field. But
Yeah.
Kirby Smart, Tuesday at SEC Media Days, coach, he's going to be hit hard with questions about what Georgia's been dealing with off the field and some 70+ traffic violations, one that resulted in a tragic death of a player and a football staffer. He has to answer these questions from where you sit. How are you handling this if you're Kirby, because you know it's coming?
Well, I think there's a couple different ways. I mean, you constantly want to direct back to the positive, direct back to the season, as you will. I mean, you're almost like a White House press secretary at that point, right? Where you're just not going to answer the question. You're going to kind of come up with something else. But I think he does need to be direct with the overall mindset of the program and of where it's at and what they're doing. And hey, there's issues that they need to address and how they're addressing it and how they're helping the team improve. The old days of, you remember if you went back 25 years ago and that was happening, but Bobby Bowden would get up with, hey, boys will be boys. And, people kind of like passed over, like coaches, like the old time winning coaches would get a lot of passes on that stuff in the past. And, you're not getting that anymore. You have people digging in deep, investigating what's going on. And I think what, he has to do is say, hey, here's some things that we've done. Let's instead of looking at all the negatives that's happening, let's flip it to here's some proactive things we've done to help address and fix and educate the kids in the future.
Yeah, because look, the media is going to come at him and say, okay, well, if you're fixing it, then why does it keep happening?
Yeah.
How much is the head coach, like, you're faced with this problem? How much is the head coach going to the team and being like, knock it off? You understand that we are on top of college football, and the only thing that could bring this down is an off the field scandal.
I think one of the things that everyone, and not to make excuses, there's two issues. One, which is, in college football, the head coach is really responsible for everything. You don't see it in the offseason. If a player in the NFL gets in trouble, it's player based.
That's it.
It's player. Hey, that must be this guy or that. It very rarely goes to the head coach. Maybe goes to the organization as a whole, but not directly to the head coach. The college football, everything gets thrown right at the head coach. And I think that's tough. That's a huge responsibility. Now you get to deal with it. And at least there's usually one voice coming out when that stuff happens. The other thing you have to remember is these guys, a lot of them are 18 to 22-year-old kids. I know because of the hype, because of how big college football, because of what it is, that sometimes these guys seem larger than life. Okay. But I always say this, like, if you really remember back, now, I know you weren't this type of guy. When between, the days at Arizona State where you spent, majority of the time in the library, right? I mean,
of course,
very rarely, Saturday you might go out for a nice little dinner and then get some late night studying in, sleep so you can sleep and get good rest for the next coming week.
Naturally.
But if you remember 18 to 22-year-old kids, the processing of information, everything I talked about with our team was decision-making, right? If you think decision-making. And I always thought if I could teach all of these 18 to 22-year-olds, if I can teach you how to be a good decision maker in life, walking out the door, you have the best chance to be successful. More important than reading coverage on third down, as a coach, because you want to help kids in life make good decisions, and it's like you could say, hey, if some guy came into you on a Friday afternoon when you're out there in college and said, hey guys, remember, you got to make a good decision going out tonight on a Friday night. You're probably like, I gotcha. And that made sense at 3:30 in the afternoon, but about 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night, that information's long gone because you're a college kid. And
right.
So I think there are issues, but what they have to remember is these guys are held to a much higher standard. They're under a bigger spotlight, and a lot of them have huge goals. And you got to say, hey, every decision you make, how's it going to affect you, your teammates? How's it affect your family? How's it affect your long-term goals in life? And if you can make decisions based off of that, we have a chance to at least curb behavior. Second, if you know that someone else on your team is doing something that is out of line of our overall goals of success, help them and reel them back into making positive decisions. To say nothing's going to happen is impossible. To sit there and say, let's try to make the best decisions possible.
Yeah, because look, Georgia, nothing's stopping them on the football field. And I've said this now for a few weeks. The only thing that's going to stop Georgia is Georgia off the field. And with the turnover that Kirby's gotten the roster this year, I know Brock Bowers is back. It's scary that he's playing another year of college football, but there's enough talent there. Carson Beck, some of the younger quarterbacks to come in and continue what Georgia's built. But the scary part is you can't have, once the winning stops, people are going to start looking and pointing at stuff. And that's where I think Georgia is right now. They're going to continue to be successful. But if the off the field stuff continues, when the winning stops is when people start pointing and saying, hey, look, you don't have control of your program. You're not doing this. You're not doing that.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.